Today, there was no one in our house. The whole house seemed empty. There was only me and my dear mother at home. Mother was cleaning out the storage room, and then I went inside and found something that brought tears to her eyes. This discovery was something she hadn't seen in years, not since my father first met her at a concert hall. That discovery reminded her of the dreams she once had, and it made me realize how much she had given up for our family. This moment changed everything. There was a different emotion on her face today, a mixture of joy and longing. So today, I'm going to tell you a unique story of a family living in Australia, a story about rediscovering lost dreams and the unbreakable bond between mother and son. Hello, friends. Welcome to your YouTube channel, Only Storytelling. Consider this channel as your own, and if you like all the stories told by us, then you should subscribe to this YouTube channel of ours. So let's start. Hello, friends. My name is Jade, and I am from Sydney, Australia. I am 25 years old and work as a music therapist at a local hospital. I am passionate about my work because I've seen firsthand how music can heal people, how it can bring back memories and emotions that seemed lost forever. Most of my patients are elderly people or those recovering from trauma, and I use music to help them reconnect with themselves. This profession chose me for a reason. Growing up, I was surrounded by music. This is why I understand the power of melody, the way a single song can transport you back in time, the way rhythm can express what words cannot. By the way, there are 3 more people in my family. My father is a construction company owner. He mostly stays busy with different projects in various cities. That is why he works long hours and travels frequently. I have seen my mother many times sitting alone, staring out the window with a distant look in her eyes. My mother, Olivia, is 52 years old and incredibly talented, though she would never admit it. Although she's aged gracefully, even today she carries herself with the elegance of someone who once commanded stages. But due to my father not being home much, and her dedicating her entire life to raising us, my mother stopped pursuing her own dreams. My mother is a homemaker now, and my younger sister, Emma, who is still studying at university, has her own busy life with friends and studies. I saw my mother sitting alone at home today. My mother was looking sad again, going through old boxes in the storage room. Giving a small smile to my mother, I said, "Mom, what are you looking for? Can I help you find something?" There was a small dusty box near our storage shelf. By the way, it was filled with old photographs and memorabilia, but today, me and my mother were going to discover something far more precious. I was just watching as my mother carefully opened it. My mother looked at me once and said nothing at first, but I tried to see what was inside. And finally, my mother pulled out an old violin case, covered in dust and clearly untouched for decades. Today was Saturday. Most people spend Saturdays relaxing, and today I had planned to spend it helping my mother organize. So I had no idea this day would change everything. It was only me and my mother in that storage room when I asked her about the violin. There was a security of privacy there in our home where she could be vulnerable. She looked at the instrument as if seeing a ghost from her past. Now me and my mother were standing there, frozen in time. I still could not see happiness on my mother's face, only a complex mixture of emotions. Now I was her devoted son, so I gently asked her about it. "Mom, I never knew you played the violin. Why didn't you ever tell me?" Then my mother said to me, "Son, don't you remember me ever playing anything? Did you never wonder why we have so many classical music records in the house?" When I heard this from my mother, I felt a little ashamed, but I felt determined to learn more about this hidden part of her life. So I also shook my head and replied honestly to my mother, "No, Mom, I never saw you play. I always thought you just enjoyed listening to music. Tell me about it." And with that invitation, my mother began to share her story. Hearing this, my mother's eyes lit up slightly, and I also felt very curious. But my mother said after some time, "Jade, when I was your age, music was my entire world. I performed with the Sydney Symphony Orchestra. I had scholarships, opportunities to study in Vienna, dreams of becoming a soloist." Then suddenly, I don't know how these questions came out of my mouth, making me realize how little I knew about my mother's past. I was thinking about how much she had sacrificed, things I had never considered. These words came out of my mouth. "Mother, what happened? Why did you stop? You were clearly so talented." My mother became silent for a moment, but after some time, holding the violin case close to her chest, she said, "Life happened, sweetheart. I met your father. I got pregnant with you, The touring schedule, the practice hours, they weren't compatible with raising a family. Your father was building his business, and someone needed to be home. So I made a choice. Okay, hearing this broke my heart. Then I told my mother that sacrificing your dreams shouldn't have been the only option. I told my mother that people can have both family and passions, that it's never too late to return to what you love. Hearing this, my mother got a little emotional. Then she told me in clear words, "Jade, it's been 30 years. My fingers don't work the way they used to. The music world has moved on without me." I told her while refusing to accept this, "Mother, music doesn't have an expiration date. Passion doesn't age. If anything, you have more life experience now to pour into your music. Please, let me hear you play, just once." Then my mother said to me, reluctantly, "Okay, but don't expect too much. I probably can't even remember how to hold it properly anymore." When my mother said this, something sparked inside me. All kinds of ideas started coming to my mind. I was thinking about my work with patients, how I'd seen people in their 70s and 80s reconnect with instruments they hadn't touched in decades. Today, there was no one to judge her, no pressure, just the opportunity to feel that joy again. When I was thinking this, my mother carefully opened the violin case. The instrument inside was beautiful despite years of neglect. I watched in awe as she lifted it, positioned it under her chin, and picked up the bow. Her hands trembled slightly. Then my mother said, "I think you were lost watching me too intently." These words came out of my mouth without thinking. "Mother, today you look like you're holding a piece of your soul. That violin belongs with you." When my mother heard all this, she gave a small, sad smile and said to me, "Son, yes, it once did. You're seeing me now, trying to remember who I used to be." Today, my mother and I had shared something profound. It seemed as if we both understood that this moment was about more than just music. If we give an example of this, it's like watching someone come back to life after years of merely existing, rediscovering a buried part of themselves. Today, I was feeling as if I was witnessing a rebirth, and I knew I had to do everything possible to nurture it. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My mother had set up in the living room, and we both sat down. She began to play. After the initial rusty notes, something magical happened. We went on for hours. Her muscle memory returned, and though imperfect, the music was breathtaking. When she finished a piece by Vivaldi, tears streamed down both our faces. But I knew neither of us was going to let this be a one-time thing, nor was my mother. I could see it in her eyes. My mother had a spark that had been reignited, and I was determined to fan it into a flame. From that day forward, I made it my mission. I researched local music groups for adult learners. I found a violin teacher who specialized in helping people return to music after long breaks. I even discovered a community orchestra that welcomed players of all levels. Then I slowly convinced my mother to try. Mother was hesitant at first, afraid of judgment, afraid of failure. But I reminded her that she had already succeeded by picking up the violin again. Everything else was just bonus. When I presented her with information about a returning musicians workshop, some excitement flickered across her face. My mother was considering possibilities she thought were forever closed. Some weeks later, I watched that video of her first workshop performance on my phone. From the audience, I could see her nervous energy transform into pure joy as she played. I watched that moment for about 10 minutes afterwards, and I was also feeling incredibly proud. My mother was doing something brave, something for herself. But then some doubt crept into my mind, and my mother shared it with me later. She wondered if she was being selfish, if at her age, she should just accept her role and not chase childish dreams. Then my mother, instead of feeling defeated, said to me, "Jade, do you think I'm foolish? A 52-year-old woman trying to reclaim something from her youth?" I interrupted her and said firmly, "Right now, I need you to listen to me carefully. You are not foolish. You are inspiring. Every patient I work with, every person who has lost something precious would be in awe of your courage. You're showing Emma and me that it's never too late to honor yourself." And I watched as those words sunk in. When it was time for her next practice session, I saw that the doubt had transformed into determination. Now she was committed, not just playing for nostalgia, but truly practicing, improving, growing. Now I was seeing a different version of my mother. How did all this happen? There was dedication I recognized from my own passion for my work. When I was witnessing this transformation, I went and saw that today my mother had auditioned for the community orchestra. She had some nervousness beforehand, but when she came home, she was glowing. Due to her successful audition, she was officially a member of the orchestra with her first concert scheduled in 3 months. But I had a different plan forming in my mind. When I went and asked my mother if I could help her prepare for the concert, she was eager for support. I was amazed by her enthusiasm. What she told me filled my heart with pride. My mother told me that she was finally feeling alive again, that music had always been a part of her identity, and reclaiming it felt like coming home. She was having joy not from external validation, but from the act of creating beauty, from expressing herself through melody. And this joy was that pure, authentic happiness that comes from pursuing passion, due to which a different kind of transformation was visible in our entire household.